Welcome to this session of Straight Drive Panorama. I am Sudhanshu Mani. Namaskar. Viewers, Prince Henry in Shakespeare's play Henry IV says, if all the year were playing holidays, to sport would be as tedious as to work. या फिर our own चाचा गालिब, गम अगर च जा गुसल है पे कहा पचे के दिल है गमे इश्क गर न होता गमे रोजगार होता. But there are some very fortunate people who are able to treat their work and their sport with equal passion. And we have for you today on the show one such person, Dr. Shobhit Chawla, well known ophthalmologist, perhaps the finest eye surgeon of Lucknow, and arguably one of the finest in the country. He is known to offer excellent patient care at his eye hospital, Prakash Netra Kendra, and he has many sports that he loves passionately, like photography and gourmet cooking, to name two. We will talk about and perhaps get to eat the offerings of Dr. Shobhit, the chef, someday, but today we'll talk about photography. He has held many solo exhibitions of his works. Welcome, Dr. Chawla.
Thank you very much, Sudhanshu ji.
Yeah. So we will straight away start with a question. Well, they say that you must love what you do and otherwise quit, unless it's a serious bread and butter issue, because you would not go too far in something you did not love to do. And even more importantly, select something as your special passion, something that genuinely excites you, and it's better that it doesn't directly relate to your work. Well, never mind that in your case, your love of photography is obliquely related to your work as you deal with eyes and vision. And photography is also about the magic of frozen optics, if I can say so. So, how did you pick, or rather, how did photography pick you to be its practitioner?
Add to your first statement, the first talk which I gave on photography was titled to a management club was titled From Passion to Meditation. So that was the kind of feeling I have for photography or for anything which I enjoy and do with passion. So my journey started by default. It was my brother's birthday, and my father presented him a Louboutin. My father was a reasonable photographer because he spent a lot of his education time in the United States and had some old cameras lying in the house in Argus, a Brownie, and some others which I used to play with without understanding what they are as a kid. But when he presented my brother a Louboutin, I was in my middle school in class 7th or 8th. My brother was very serious about going in for science and higher education and was a very committed student besides his little commitment to his tennis. So he did not touch the camera. I picked it up. And fortunately, right behind my house, adjoining wall is with the residency. And at that time, there were no gates which you had to cross. You could just jump across the wall. And what used to excite me was to see the light filtering there in the real bizarre graveyard which was there. So the interaction of the light with the beautiful epitaphs of the past excited me into picking up this Louboutin, putting in a roll, black and white roll, taking photographs, bringing it back to my father's clinic, who had a dental clinic at home, and also in the hospital in his dental clinic, he had a dark room attached to it, where I would process the film and try to make some prints with a outdated old enlarger, taking help of the X-ray technician. So that's how my journey started way back. And it has been never looking back. But I must say, the process of clicking and then going into the dark room did give me extremely interesting insights about photography and light.
Hmm. Okay. All right, doctor. So, photography is inherently a medium of realistic expression, but aided by the creativity of the photographer and various techniques available to him today, it can uniquely transcend the immediate realism to, well, if you want, abstract and yes, the extraordinary. So, to that extent, it is definitely a looks like a more powerful medium to show the objects beyond the reach of a normal human eye in one plane, and definitely the paintings and other handmade forms of visual arts on the other. And then add to things like scenic, technical, presentational, contextual, and so on, and take it beyond a simple reproduction. So, how would you define photography as a hobby and certainly as an art of expression? Uh,
Well,
if you like, as it is, or in contrast to other visual art media?
see, all visual arts media, I'm a great admirer of good painters, artists. I've enjoyed other mediums like sculpture and even digital art, which is quite prevalent nowadays. But at the same time, I feel photography is actually just an expression of the what the photographer has his perception either of a real actual situation, and he tries to modulate it and produce what he has in his mind and the feeling it evokes in him. So it's actually a very good expression medium for art. Now, techniques apart, in the beginning of any photographer's journey, certain amount of techniques do come in. But after some time, you surpass the game of techniques, and it becomes more a, just creation of art. The techniques go in background, and your interplay with the scene, your interplay with the real, making it look unreal, unrealistic, and your own perception becomes the dominant situation, I feel. And that's what expresses itself in a photograph for me.
Right, thank you. All right, so uh, mm, photographic images offer a vast spectrum of expressions in myriad hues and tones, devised through motley games of light and angles, and of course, the spontaneity of capturing a variety of moments through the lens of a camera, which can, breathe life and blow something special. So, viewers, now to see this something special, I invite Dr. Chawla to take us through some select photos that he has captured over the years. Dr. Chawla.
Light is one of the very necessary mediums for any photographer, and it's your perception, your understanding of light, and what you and how you use it, which expresses itself in many ways. Now, this is a photograph. This is about 20 years back. I was wandering in a park. It was a park with a water which led to a forest and then a waterfall in the outskirts of Kuala Lumpur. I was there for a meeting, and when I wandered out, I was walking through this glade, and this small leaf had just freshly fallen, and light was filtering and casting this shadow. I found the whole thing very mystical, and this particular photograph and experience changed my perception of light. I took this photograph, I enjoyed taking it, and it really created a great perception. The transparency created of the leaf, a very simple thing, and the shadow. But I found this all very spontaneous and mystical, and this is what changed my perception of life. And that's why my journey took a turn more towards enjoying light and experimenting with it. Yes, my mentor Anil Risal Singh ji also said experimentation is really the basis of creativity in photography, and that's the journey which I have also enjoyed doing. Another very powerful medium I found was leading lines and the power of geometrics, which has always influenced me. I feel it gives a very powerful medium to your expression if you're interested in this kind of photography, especially street, abstract, and monuments. So this photographer was doing some photography in a small town in Spain called Malaga. I was taking my flight back from there after a meeting I had attended in Barcelona. So I wanted to spend 2 days there doing some photography. And I saw this photographer going through this alley, and it gave me a very nice opportunity to, use the leading lines and his silhouette to create an interesting frame, which I found very interesting. Another interesting frame, this is from the tombs of Luxor. Again, my host, where had the Egyptian Society had done a meeting there. So my meetings give me good opportunities to attend meetings and then combine it with a photography session. And he took me to this place while the other tourists and mates were walking out. I stood behind and took this nice light emanating and tried to pick up some details of the carvings in the walls. This famous square in Nice, which is the square of Nice where the statue of Apollo is also there. So the geometrics and the morning sun and this nice sacralimus pattern of the clouds gave me an opportunity to create an interesting frame here, which I found quite dramatic because the shadows were bisecting through the pattern of the flooring. Subways have always been an interesting subject for me. This is the London subway and a small station, and that's my wife walking down to catch the train. I stood behind because it was early morning and it was quite free, the subway, and I could get this lovely shot. Monochrome has its own delight. So another example of geometrics and the setting sun. You see the strong contrast created both in color and black and white, just because light was falling from the right side and the left side was under a shadow. So it gives an interesting study of the geometrics with contrast and tones. I think this photograph would have been a very ordinary photograph if just clicked without these contrasts and tones, without the setting sun. Same as a dove was flying across and his shadow made this geometrics which got broken by the shadow, an interesting interplay and study of the whole geometry and the shadow.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Yeah.
Golden light of sunset. If you very look subtly at this frame, there is a water body underneath the lotus temple at the base, and you see this beautiful reflection at one tip of the dome, which is on the right side, and the golden light added, which digital photography gives us a chance to enhance the yellow or lighten the yellow in the Lightroom, and that added to the drama this frame created. It is both an interaction of what you click and what you perceive and create it as. Digital photography today not only gives us an opportunity in the camera, which I feel is the main opportunity, but also when you process your photographs, you have a chance to enhance things to make it look like an art form.
Yeah. Wow.
So there are a lot of photographs of the Taj. Near Taj, I had been looking at various angles of the Taj and studying them over the year. I had an opportunity to visit Agra 2 years back in December 2019, and I investigated. There is a small village and a monument which is under Archaeological Society of India, which is on the same bank as the Taj, but a little away with restricted entry. You require the DM's permission and the archaeological surveys with a little help from the police because it's titled as an unsafe area. And I was there for sunset, and the sun had just started setting. It's you see that little bit of highlight on the left upper corner. That is the sun, and I got this lovely image of the Taj in its complete panorama, which a image which I had dreamt of many years, but had never had the chance to click. So it was a matter of luck, chance, and it was a December time, so there was some amount of mist which added to the lovely frame. Humayun Tomb has been a very favorite place with a lot of photographers. It's a big complex with lot of interesting tombs, the Humayun Tomb area, the Isa Tomb, and others, the Blue Dome Tomb. So that is a photograph from there. This is a photograph I would like to really talk about. This is taken from a distance of about 400 to 500 meters away. I did not have a very powerful lens with me in my bag at the time, though I had it in my room. This is in Spiti. This is Key Monastery. Key Monastery is one of the oldest monasteries in our country and has a very long history. So I luckily had a tripod with me, and the sunrise was happening. The sun was falling on the monastery from the left side, and most of the mountain was still in darkness. So this gave me a beautiful frame to take a reasonably slow, long exposure, getting all the details with just an 85 millimeter lens, but from a far off place. But because I was using the tripod, I could decrease my size, what we call as cropping of the image, and still maintain all the details and get a good image in the bargain. Another very interesting place which has had an impact on my photography is this remote village. It's called Gete. It's situated at a great height of about 13,000 feet above sea level. It's a good rate when you walk about half a kilometer, but that walk in that rarefied atmosphere is quite an experience. And then you reach this ledge, which is situated above the Key Monastery and this village about 3,000 feet above. And from there you click the setting sun. And I got this opportunity. I call it the McKenna's Gold frame because lovely light was falling on this mountain in the foreground and the background was in the dark. It was an overcast sky, as you can see, so the light was just peeping and selectively falling on this. It's a huge mountain which you see in the foreground, and this gave me a very interesting perspective of the whole valley. The river flowing. This area is also titled as the Pin Valley National Park. It's part of that. It's actually a national park also. And I got this lovely image, which I don't know if I am again there on an overcast day with the sun peeping, I'll get or not. So there was a lot of luck and blessings to the image. Another one from the same point, same place, but a different perspective. This is a peak which is very much revered by the local people, and again, interplay of light and shadows in the foreground with the peak behind.
Wow.
A very interesting experience. I was for a meeting, invited meeting, the Mediterranean Retina meeting in Croatia, and we were having the welcome reception, which they normally have at about 5:30 p.m. in the evening. The sun was setting, and I was at the reception, but it was at the same hotel. When I saw this beautiful sunset happening, I ran to my room. I went onto the balcony of my room, forgetting the tea and snacks at the reception, and I continuously clicked various frames of this lovely image with manual settings and a manual camera. So this gave me a good control because I was doing manual exposures to get the lovely hues in the sky. and the rocks of Croatia, Dubrovnik, as you see behind, and the sun setting behind. Foreground interest is another very interesting subject we play with. Now, this was daytime. It was actually early noon, and we had gone to this village in Spiti where I was also helping the people, doing an eye checkup for them, just to, you know, because we were there on a holiday, we had carried medicines and eye checkup equipment. Thought that population does not have access to normal, common everyday eye issues. Let's do a checkup for them and also for their general health issues. So the villagers, while they were getting ready, I saw this patch of flowers in the distance with the peaks behind. I went and set myself up and got this lovely foreground interest shot. Again, a foreground interest shot of our lovely residency with these two pillars and the monument behind. The image on the left is a kind of a documentary, if you look at it. The central business district of Prague has undergone a lot of change after the Second World War. A lot of modern buildings in the last 2 decades have come up there, but the old buildings still retain their beautiful facade and their essence. So this is a huge new business complex with a glass frontage and the old buildings surrounding it in the central business district of Prague. And I took this opportunity to kind of reflect upon the old reflecting onto the new and create this abstract image. This is the small town, Italian town of Como, and that's one of the by lanes when I was going to catch my train back to Locarno in Switzerland. I was just crossing and the sun was setting. It was already about 4:30 in the evening, and these lovely long shafts of light was passing through this alley while this lady was walking also back to an office or back to a shop. We define the golden hours as sunrise and sunset for any photographer. For me, it is 15 to 20 minutes before sunrise till about 10 to 12 minutes after sunrise. And in the evening, it is 15-20 minutes before sunset to about the same time after sunset. This is Serengeti in Tanzania, and the sun is setting, has actually already set, and this lone tree is standing in its full loneliness in the beautiful expanse of Serengeti. Actually, Serengeti means large expanses of land, and that is what it is. I found it expresses my view very nicely with this photograph.
Wow.
Another example of some geometrics. This also has a story. There is a small museum in Prague, which is not very popular among tourists, but it has this lovely staircase. Now, there is no way you can photograph this staircase. It has a skylight on top, and there was a table kept underneath. Much to the dismay of the caretaker, I took permission just to move the table a little bit so that I could lie down on the floor and get this lovely view of the skylight, almost like a bulb hanging on top of the staircase. Our own Rumi Darwaza. Rain had fallen in the morning. It's not too far from my house. The sky was overcast, and I took this opportunity of going and taking this photograph with a different mood of the Rumi Darwaza. Another misty winter morning at the Rumi Darwaza with, I chose to click here in monochrome and continue in monochrome with this photograph because I wanted this look of the dramatic look of the mist and the little mystical look along with of the early winter morning in December. This is again an example of golden light before the sun has even come up. You see, there is a scattering of the light and it gives a very nice transparent look. This phenomena is called Rayleigh phenomena and was described way back in 1940 by a physicist who was also a photographer. And it gives a beautiful, the scattering of the light gives a very glassy look to the mountains, and just before sunrise is a beautiful moment if you can be at the right vantage point. Yes, it does entail getting up at 4:30 in the morning or 4 o'clock and driving down to the point which you have thought. Gives you a lovely look of the mountains, a different perspective. Subways, I told you, have always interested me. This is a train arriving at one of the stations in Prague, and I found it both interesting in monochrome and color. So I took this shot. It was a mix of light, leading lines, and an interesting image. Now, this image would have been quite dull and drab, but a lower perspective gives it the look. This is the lesser town of Prague, not much frequented by tourists, and it had just rained. It gave me a nice puddle of a reflection to break the cobblestone and give a nice relief to my image. You see, we hardly know any. There are beautiful places in our country which we don't explore. This is a small village called Beda. It is situated quite close to Jodhpur and Udaipur. It's in between somewhere, actually a triangle. And this village is famous, has become famous in the past few years with photographers, both in India and overseas, and even with Discovery Channel and National Geographic, for its lovely population of leopards, where the leopards very coexist very nicely with the local population, and the villages actually up to them as protectors of their temples. That's a paratrooper. Would not have looked much nice in Lucknow, which happens with the races. With the horse races, the army puts up this show. It would not have looked very interesting had it not been for the setting sun and the paratrooper in the foreground. Again, a very beautiful example of what we have studied in our earlier science and optics classes as high school students, Tyndall effect. This is the Isa tomb, and was waiting. I was studying where the sun can set from, can arise from, and this is about 7:30 in the morning, and the lovely light is falling on the tomb, giving it a very beautiful perspective and adding a lot to the photograph. Again, just this is one of the cathedrals in a small town called Kutna Hora, again a UNESCO protected town, famous for its ossuary church, the church made of bones, but this is not that. In this cathedral, I found it interesting because the light was playing very beautifully in one of the galleries on the side of the main altar. And I took this image. This is our very own Dudhwa forest. But if you venture out early enough in the morning, while the sun is rising, you experience these beautiful interplay because the forest is very dense and beautiful, and the trees are preserved well. You see this lovely interplay of sun, light in these paths which are made for the foresters and the safaris to go around. Gives almost a Jungle Book kind of appearance. Another lucky moment. This is Dutu National Park in Tanzania. Happened to visit it for a safari, and it had rained lightly. The sun was setting. It was late afternoon, though not exactly sunset time, late afternoon, and this double rainbow came up in the horizon. So minimalism is another thing which expresses some strong elements in a photograph by keeping the elements to the minimal. Now this is again the setting sun in Serengeti, along with the topography and those dot-like trees and the lovely golden grass. The sun has already set and given a mystical, beautiful hue to the sky, which is varying in shades. Another photograph early in my career, which made me realize the importance. This is taken in mid-afternoon. I took a boat. This is Lavasa, our very own city of Lavasa, which is now actually become more like a ghost town and has gone down. But this was the beginning when Lavasa had just come up, and we had organized a Retina Society of India meeting there, a residential meeting, and they gave us the whole town actually. So we took the boat, and I could see this lovely, they've created it more like Europe, the whole town, and you see this in the artificial lake. You see this beautiful images created by these buildings in reflecting in the blue water. This is one of my very favorite images. It's a very small fishing town at the edge of Slovenia. In the horizon lies Florence on one side and Venice on the other. So actually, it's early morning. It was 5 a.m. and these fishermen, a lot of fishermen come there from England to do fishing because it's reasonable and they enjoy their angling here. It's reasonably priced. So I got up at 5 in the morning. The temperature was -2 degrees. I couldn't even hold the camera. And like every Indian, I was also not very well equipped for this cold weather. But somehow I managed to hold the camera and get this lovely image with the sun yet to come up in the horizon. So these are the two fishermen enjoying fishing, and you see that strip there, that is actually Croatia on the left and Venice on the right. That little bit of strip of land you see is Croatia. So overcast sky and light can also give drama. Again, this is from a high up point in Spiti with the overcast sky and the sun falling, where I had a good aerial perspective and I could take this. Some interplay of lights in our own backyard, Kumau. So another example of minimalism at a beach in Goa, where I thought it was good to take, this is taken with a very wide perspective of 18 millimeter, which gives us a very wide image. So here I concentrated on the texture of the sand, and I tried to put in focus the boat also and the few tourists in the background and morning walkers to get this lovely image. But my main point of interest was the lovely pattern of the sand in the early morning. This is something I would like to talk about. There's a beautiful wall called the Lenin Wall, which is maintained by the Deutsche Bank in Prague. It had just rained and I happened to visit this. This wall changes every day because people come and put their inscriptions or they paint something in honor of Lenin here or in his memory. Some singers come and sing here. So I decided to do a small photo essay. I took this image of the leaves and the wall. Then I went up to this girl. She was looking for a pen. I had my conference pen in my pocket, which I handed her. And I told her she can keep it and she should just pose for a photograph for me and write whatever she wants on the Lenin wall. I got this. There was this singer singing, and this inset, what you see, is an interesting technique. I have used something zooming out while taking the photograph. So I have the image in focus because it was overcast, it had rained, so the light was low. I could afford to do this without overexposing. And I got this Lenin in the background, this original image, and the zoom burst in the foreground, giving it the change in the depicting the change in the wall with time. Candid portraits have always excited me, but they are not always easy because people are not very open to being photographed. This was one such gentleman. I'm sure he would have banged the guitar on my head if he had seen me clicking. So I was buying a coffee at a cafe. This is Height and Ashbury. This is a very interesting place in the suburbs of San Francisco, where again I happened to visit for a meeting, but had the opportunity to spend one whole half day here because I could. This is where the hippie movement started in the 60s. The idea was to experiment with this movement and culture before it spread all over the United States and beyond. So Height and Ashbury was one of the places where the hippie culture started in the 60s. Another very difficult candid taken in Montmartre, the square of painters and artists. This lady was making portraits but did not want to be clicked, so I took a vantage point and I used a zoom across from a cafe where I again sat down, ordered a cafe, kept my camera on the table, and got this very intense, interesting look on her face. And two again interesting candidates from Egypt, Luxor. This lady was enjoying a small Nile cruise. Actually, she's a friend's wife, and she was so mesmerized and in her own thoughts that I got this lovely candid portrait. And when I sent it to her back on email, she really loved it. And this was a man emerging from one of the tombs. What I liked was the light falling in on the floor of this area, giving it almost a ghostly look, and this man emerging out like a ghost with the different color stone in the background, and the skirting on the out wall is totally different in color. So I found the colors and the light interesting, and this interesting candid portrait. The Maasai tribe is very well known in the Ngorongoro crater area in Tanzania. They still preserve their culture, and this is again a candid portrait in the setting sun while this lady was looking at a tourist who was trying to buy her goods, and she was showing him the goods. This is one of the Maasai standing at her own house. These are their houses. So I thought it made a nice study of the abode and the people. You see the house in the background. So many times we use technique like called intentional camera shake. This is the Makkah Masjid in Hyderabad, very right next to Charminar. People feed the pigeons there. So pigeon feeding. So I took this opportunity to do a intentional long exposure with a minor shake of the camera to give this mystical look to the whole procedure, while she was standing in her traditional dress and feeding the pigeons. This is again a very interesting photograph. No digital imagery has been done here or manipulation. It is actually laser light which is reflecting on the Parliament of the Canadian Parliament, and this show happens only in Ottawa at the Canadian Parliament for 1 week, and I happened to be there where my cousin had taken me for 2 nights to see this area of Montreal and Ottawa. And there were about 1,500 people behind me, so I had no alternative. I asked the guards if I could go and lie down on the wet grass and click these images without, avoiding any inconvenience to the spectators behind me. And I got these tilted images, which I felt made a very strong frame. And so this is the story of these two interesting images. Again, an abstract of a hotel lobby. The geometrics gives it an interesting look and relief. The table gives it a very interesting relief in the foreground. Our Mumbai airport terminal. Again, a mystical look at our Shah Nazaf Imambara by intentional camera shake and a little zoom. Again, an intentional camera shake. This is a pine forest with wildflowers growing. The, again, it was raining, so I decided to take an umbrella, go down the hill a little towards the forest, and the place is called Bhumia Dhar. It's a pine forest area about 10 kilometers from Nainital, and I could get this lovely image, and this almost looked like a painting with the camera. But for this, you have to use manual photography to get the correct exposure and the look. Again, a mystical look with the mist in the mountains. This is from Anachuli, a small town near Mukteshwar. This photograph has an interesting story. This is Lake Muskoka in Ontario. It was 4:30 in the morning and the fire alarm went out, and it has a small resort attached to it. Everybody ran out when the fire alarm was on. It turned out to be it was a false alarm. The only thing I carried with me was my passport, my camera, and my wallet. So I stayed out while others went in when the alarm was certified, and the lovely early morning mist on the lake gave a beautiful look, and the chairs were also empty on the small reefs which they had set up for the decks, which the people, stone decks which were there at the side of the lake. And I got this lovely image. Even in wildlife photography, I think, though I'm not a wildlife photographer, but because I was in Beda, so it was customary to pick up, borrow a 600 bazooka from a friend and click the leopards. And there, this light was falling, giving this leopard. If this light was not there from the left, it would have been just a simple image merging in the stones, as the leopards love to live in these cliffs, which are almost like a camouflage for them. Again, the golden light in Tanzania, giving rise to a beautiful hue to this lion because of the light.
Well, that was a really a wonderful journey, and I'm sure it's going to inspire many budding photographers to take to photography with more passion and more seriously. So, before we end the show, Dr. Saab, what would be your closing comments for the viewers about appreciation of art photography and prospective collectors, and also a message for young professional art photographers? Briefly.
Well, my message is that, first to people, that it's very important. Art is something which preserves through the ages. As we see the archives of old photographers of our country and interesting articles which come out about them. So it's one should really look at photography as seriously as art, as a medium for donning the wall. I remember you have in your collection a lovely photograph of the Barsana Holi.
Yeah, yes.
I think it's a very rare piece now because that vantage point is no longer open for photography. So it may so times change, and photographic shots can become really masterpieces and collector's item with time. Photography should be taken more seriously in our country, and it is really very seriously taken overseas, and you have lot of photography collectors. It should be given its due in appreciation and in economics to the photographers to encourage them more. And one should encourage younger artists and photographers more because the elder ones have had their flow, they have enjoyed seeing the eras, and it's very important that art and photography should be encouraged in the country in more ways than one.
Yes. So, pleasure talking to you, Dr. Shobit Chawla. And it was very nice of you to take out time from your busy practice, especially nowadays. and share your images and your perspective of those images with our viewers. And viewers, I hope you like the program. We will end it now. We'll be back next Thursday in Straight Drive Panorama. Namaskar.